Tonight, fresh fallout over Hillary Clinton's server scandals.
I don't know how it works digitally at all.
Judge Janine Pirro weighs in on just how much legal trouble Clinton is in.
Jeb Bush is a low-energy person. For him to get things done is hard.
Donald Trump and Jeb Bush trade jabs at dueling town halls last night in New Hampshire.
He was a Democrat longer in the last decade than he was a Republican.
You are going to hear a lot of arguments against this deal.
The Iranian nuclear deal is now worse than we thought. You won't believe what the administration has given up this time. All that plus Ainsley Earhart, Kimberly Guilfoyle, and Peter Johnson Jr. Hannity starts right here, right now.
Welcome to Hannity. There are more questions than answers when it comes to Hillary Clinton's private server scandal. And tonight, we are learning new information about the device that Clinton used to send emails during her tenure as Secretary of State. Standing by tonight in D.C. with the very latest is our own Catherine Herridge. Catherine, this grows day by day by day.
Well, it does, Sean. Buried in this new court document is the admission that Mrs. Clinton did not use a government-issued device that was certified as secure to handle sensitive or classified information, and the BlackBerries used by her aides Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills were likely destroyed. Fox News was first to confirm in March that Mrs. Clinton used an iPad that was not certified as secure against the instructions of State Department IT specialists. The campaign has been silent on the issue. Today, Fox put the question to the State Department.
There are, I just say there are reviews and investigations going on right now, including by RIG and by Congress, and so it's just going to be inappropriate for me to comment.
Meanwhile, the Denver IT firm that took over the server contract for the Clintons has now hired a crisis management team, and significantly, the firm has not been forthcoming about how they landed the contract in the first place.
They say that they submitted a proposal to the Clintons, Bill and Hillary Clinton, in 2013 and were hired. They did not tell us, it was one of the questions we asked that they didn't answer, how they knew that that opportunity existed to submit the proposal.
And the decision to use a relatively small Denver firm with no experience handling a major contract involving classified information is described as highly unusual.
It looks suspicious, I must say, as well, from a counterintelligence viewpoint. If I were the FBI, I would definitely have questions about what the motivations were to choose a firm that sounds certainly very unsuited to what the Clintons needed done, which was to secure some very sensitive records.
And late today, a federal court here in Washington, D.C. ordered the State Department to work directly with the FBI to recover any emails that they successfully find as the result of their investigation, Sean.
All right, Catherine, thank you. And joining us now with more, cybersecurity analyst, senior fellow at the Center for Digital Government is Morgan Wright, and cybersecurity co-chair at Pillsbury, Winthrop, Shaw, Pittman. Brian Finch is with us. Morgan, I want to go back to your credentials. You work for the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, other government agencies as well?
Yeah, I did a lot from the private sector, you know, especially helping these folks out, State Department. So did a lot of work, moved with a lot of these folks in the same areas.
All right. So would you say that the government system of protecting email from hackers is probably the safest that's out there?
No, the government system isn't the safest, but Sean, I can tell you what isn't the safest. It's creating your own home-brewed system. It's creating your own private server.
You mean like at a bathroom?
Well, yeah, you know, regardless of where, I can tell you, Sean, Brian and I were talking beforehand, the more I think about this, the more I look at this, the more I'm convinced from day one that this server was compromised. That's how bad this setup was.
You know, John Kerry recently said, Brian, that he thinks the Russians and Chinese are reading his emails. Now, I got to believe that John Kerry's system is safer than the system that we now know that Hillary was using in a bathroom, in a loft of a mom-and-pop company, in a bathroom where they kept the server. I got to believe, I'm not as sophisticated as you are on these matters of security. Wouldn't you think that that's probably a good guess?
Well, I can tell you certainly that the State Department is spending more money on cybersecurity than the Clintons were on their server cybersecurity. The State Department is spending tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and has the resources of the Department of Homeland Security and other federal agencies behind it to help with cybersecurity. We have not delved at all into what cybersecurity precautions the Clintons had taken, other than Secretary Clinton's initial comment that the server was on grounds protected by the Secret Service, as if tapping into the server required someone to physically put a stethoscope to it. And we know that's not the case. That's not how breaking into a server works. It's done electronically. So all we can say is that there's certainly a lot more money and muscle and bodies behind what was being done for cybersecurity from an official State Department perspective than what was being done from a Clinton perspective.
Let me ask both of you, Morgan, I'll ask you first. What are the odds that the Russians, the Chinese, maybe the Iranians and other countries have all of the emails that were on that server, even the ones she tried to erase? Morgan?
There's no odds involved here. I think it's a sure thing. I think they have it. I think they had it early on because, as John Kerry said, he expects the Chinese and Russian are reading his emails. They're also reading other world leaders' emails. So the first time Hillary Clinton emailed one of those from her HDR-22 account, they would have known it existed. I would have exploited it and attacked it 4.5 years ago. So I'm firmly convinced that our adversaries have more of the information than we do right now.
Brian, do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I agree completely with what Morgan has to say, and I think it's not just because of what other world leaders were doing and the lack of security from Clinton to other world leaders. You got to remember too, Sean, that this wasn't just a server where Secretary Clinton was using it. She had other people, the friends of Bill, the friends of Hillary, had email addresses on here.
It's
Clinton Foundation.
Yeah. All right, Morgan. Last question for you. The FBI says that they think they're going to be able to retrieve at least some of the erased information. Now, remember, she went through 66,000, erased 33,000, some of which were emails to her husband who never uses an email. So we know she lied there. But what are the odds that she fully and completely, through erasing and cleaning the server, not with a cloth, were able to actually get rid of them completely?
You know, the thing that is going to weigh against her on this is the incompetence of the people who established her system in the first place. So I think based on that and what we know, there's a high probability that the FBI will recover a majority of the data that was attempted to be erased. I used to train these guys. I trained other law enforcement officers in this. I'm firmly convinced that based on what we're hearing and their methodologies, we're going to see some stuff.
Wow. All right, Morgan, Brian, thank you both. Appreciate it. Now in studio with the legal reaction to the ongoing scandal, the host of Justice, Judge Jeanine Pirro, is with us. All right, so assuming they're right, they think it's 100% the Russians or the Chinese have it, and they seem very confident that, in fact, the FBI will recover. So here's the question. That means that if she lied, this is obstruction of justice. This takes it to a whole new level.
Well, look, there are a myriad of crimes she can be charged with. Number one, she had classified information on an unauthorized and a not government server. She knew she wasn't supposed to do that. What you have to say is, why is it that within days of your being confirmed as Secretary of State, why did you need your own private server? Why did you put your pit bulls, Uma Abedin and Cheryl Mills, on that same server? Why are their BlackBerries missing right now? And why does she say, I never received or sent classified, and then she said marked classified? She keeps pulling back from it. You've got destruction of evidence. You've got obstruction of justice. You've got Federal Records Act violations. You've got
I have the laws. I'll put them up as we speak here. There's 3 specific laws that we found.
There's at least 7 that I've found.
Okay.
All right? The woman should be indicted.
All right. But now, if the Russians, if they're 100% right, these are experts. These are the guys our government goes to. If they're right that, in fact, the Russians, Chinese, maybe the Iranians, others have this, then that would mean if she became president, she would be compromised. Vladimir Putin comes to the White House, comes in. He has the 33,000 emails she deleted, some of which would be damning to her and contradict everything she said and show a violation of law. She's subject to blackmail.
But you know what? You don't even need to prove that. What about the Clinton Foundation and the hundreds of millions of dollars? She is compromised by that. She forgets to put down that Saudi Arabia gave her $25 million. And why is Uma Abedin being paid by the Clinton Foundation in addition to the Tenio Clinton-connected business? Was this a mass criminal conspiracy? You've got co-conspirators. You've got people taking top secret off of emails. You've got everything that a grand jury should be investigating right now.
I think there should be a grand jury called.
Absolutely, right now.
All right, now we have to see whether or not. how the Justice Department, which is not exactly has been politicized, what Loretta Lynch is going to do. Now, I believe a lot of the leaks have been coming from Valerie Jarrett. If so, with the tacit approval of Obama.
That means Loretta gets permission.
That means she gets permission.
Now, let's assume that she doesn't do anything. And I know Loretta Lynch. I know her to be a competent, fair
You
attorney.
trust her?
I do.
I don't.
Well, look, in the Obama administration, I probably should qualify that. But you know who I trust?
Who?
Jim Comey. Former United
States. I do trust him.
Absolutely. He's a guy, he's there for 10 years. When Obama goes, can he keep that evidence and bring it to the next president and a likelier attorney general?
You're the former district attorney
Right.
yourself, so I'm reading you as saying you think she's cooked. And I think the mistake that she made is she never thought they'd recover this. She thought she wiped it clean, eliminated the emails, got rid of the marks that said classified. She was too cute by half, not understanding the technology. True or false?
Well, you know, I could agree with that as well. But here's the thing. The woman has danced with federal prosecutors her whole career. She knows the loopholes. The fact that she set this up within days tells me that she had some reason to do all of this. Was it to collect hundreds of millions of dollars?
She didn't want them subject to congressional subpoena.
Okay, and let me ask you another question.
Go ahead, you take over.
Why is it that this woman, all right, who's got all of these people around her, why is she ignoring the freedom of information? Why doesn't she let the inspector general into the State Department?
I'll tell you why. Because the Clintons have gotten away with so much over the years. She arrogantly believed that this would go away, and I don't think she's going to survive this.
She shouldn't survive. First of all, America doesn't believe her anymore. She's not trustworthy. But you know what? If General Petraeus, a four-star general, can be indicted and convicted, that's the least of the stuff that she's done.
What he did is minuscule in
Yes,
comparison.
exactly.
All right. Judge Janine Pirro. Guilty. Okay, thank you.
Almost.
Coming up, Hillary Clinton's poll numbers are plummeting. You can't believe it, especially in very key swing states, especially when it comes to trustworthiness and honesty. Ainsley Earhardt, she's up next. She has a full report. Also, we'll check in with Peter Johnson Jr., Kimberly Guilfoyle. They are here with reaction. And then later tonight.
Mr. Trump doesn't have a proven conservative record. He was a Democrat longer in the last decade than he was a Republican. He's given more money to Democrats than he's given to Republicans.
I don't see how he's electable.
Jeb Bush, Donald Trump go after each other at separate town hall events in New Hampshire. We have that and much, much more straight ahead.